Hello, everybody. Jim Malone here, coming to you live from Dallas Trading Floor. Well, it's a Wednesday, and it's a little bit of pullback on the S&P today. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit challenged here. The rest of the market seems to be moving very nicely up. But it's kind of running out of steam. Nasdaq is 12,356.32 when this slide was taken. S&P's up just slightly. So is the Dow Jones, but we're starting to see a little bit of weakness. So I hope that this isn't indicative of kind of what what the situation is going to be. Just want to take a look at the spider. It's over the key level of 360, so that's very good. It is in an upward trend today, but just barely. It's kind of hanging on. Volume is down, so we may see a trend change. I don't know. We may see a trend change here pretty quickly. So that's kind of something that we got to look out for, and take precautions as need be. We're over here on the QQQ Trust. Now, the QQQ Trust is the NASDAQ 100. All the NASDAQ 100 stocks are in there. Very, very interesting ETF. It's up just slightly, 14 cents. Basically, no movement, kind of going sideways. It seems to be getting a little bit of resistance here. So the question is, can it move higher in the in the coming days? We will see. But it's starting to get a little bit soft. So we might want to be taking some precautions, and possibly looking through your holdings to see kind of if you've got anything that needs to be trimmed. Now that comes to Apple. Well, it's interestingly enough, it looks as if Apple is made a signal that it is going to move higher. And so I did put out a little video on this, and of course it's available at www.Dallas Trading Floor, as well as as well as if you are on the subscribe to the action trailers. Hopefully that'll get out to everybody. But if you need to take a look at this, I do have videos out there for that. But it is moved up, which is nice. It's moved nice. And what happens was there was a trend that we were in a trend from basically the 31st of August, and as you can see, that trend was downward. Well, just on the 27th, it broke that trend and it's moving upward. And so hopefully we'll be in for a nice run. I do think it's going to run up to about 140. Hopefully it'll move past that. If it does move past that, then it's definitely going to move higher. But I do think that we may have seen the beginning of a new trend, and I do think that will move hopefully above above about the 125 level. That's going to be the first test, and then hopefully higher from there. So that might be a way to make a little bit of Christmas cash there, and that's always a good thing to have, is Christmas cash. I definitely like that. Just want to give you an idea of my current holdings. Basically I did get shaken out of a position in Palantir today, but I'm still in it with 100 shares covered by an option. So I've kind of reduced my position in Palantir. It's off significantly today, but basically just want to kind of go through it. NET, this is Cloudflare, down just about 50 cents. I'm probably going to get ready to sell this thing pretty much by the 20th. I have a 70 option on this one that I sold, so it looks like I'll probably be out of that by about the 20th if it holds in there. Tupperware definitely sold out in the small portfolio. It pulled below briefly. It pulled below 33.50. That's where I sold out. It's starting to lose a little bit of its luster. Maybe it'll go higher. Blink Charging actually went up today, which is amazing, because I've been holding position in there, just hoping that it would start to reverse, and hopefully maybe it has. Small position in Prodigy, we're up there. AMD, this is really the story. I think that AMD may be making a move higher. It's up $1.34 today. So this one might be, we're still in a fairly good buy zone for this one. AMD. PayPal's down a little bit today, kind of surprising me. a little bit, but hopefully this will strengthen up as well. Palantir, of course, I told you about that. And Apple, we're up slightly on Apple, but I do think we're at the beginning of a trend on Apple. So hopefully, that will, that trend will, we'll continue up. So basically, let's get into the questions. Thanks for holding on here. It's a little bit late starting today because I was putting on another video. Love the name, Sid Vicious. Space and ZI. I think it's Zscaler. So let's take a look at Space, which is, of course, everyone there knows that's Virgin Galactic. So let's look at that Space first, SPCE, and let's kind of look. Well, it's off a little bit today. Let's see if there's any place we can kind of buy this thing. I don't know. It looks as if there, it hasn't really changed trend here. I want to be very, very upfront about that. We're still in this downward trend, and it looks as if it hasn't quite. It looks like it might have broken trend a little bit, but I still think that we're in. We were in this downward trend. So this is the one tell here. As you can see, we've moved lower. So we seem to have some resistance right about this level, about this 2750 level. So really, I'm not interested in it currently. Just this is tactically not necessarily a good place to get it. The relative strength is still good at 96, but this little indicator here is pointed downward, and this doesn't pretend well. So I do think that it's gonna pull back here, probably down to maybe the 17 level. Well, let's kind of look to see how the checklist looks. Well, the checklist just isn't really good enough. 5 out of 9. I'm still a little bit, I don't know. That's not strong enough for me. Let's look at the ownership. Ownership is going up though, so that's good. This is one of the few pure plays in the, this is one of the few pure plays in the space business is SPCE, Virgin Galactic. Now, eventually, Elon Musk probably is going to come out with, Starlink, but that hasn't IPO'd yet, so we can't really do anything there. Let's look at ZI. I think is that Zscaler? No, that's Zoom. Yeah. Zoom, unfortunately, has, it's just been a little bit difficult with Zoom. As you can see, we have now confirmed a downward trend. So it's just it's not the time for it. And as you can see, we pulled back here. So what do? Well, the fact that it's falling below the 21-day line, that's this little green line here, that is not kind of what we want to see. We still have a really good checklist though. We have an 8 out of 9 on Zoom, but I think that it's looking at the weekly chart. No, is that ZI? No, this is Zoom info. I don't like this one at all. Unfortunately, it's just a downward trend. But if it breaks above 60, then maybe we can do something. Basically, this is a business-to-business data and information solution for sales and marketing teams. That's what it says here. It's called Zoom Info. This is different than Zoom, which is ZM. This is ZI. So it's a little bit different, but it's down significantly today. And I think that, it's pulled back to that 40-day line, and it has a relative strength of 84, but it is pointed down. So I think you ought to be careful with this one. I don't even think I would put this on the watch list, to be honest with you. So sorry to give you that bad info there. Mr. Sid, hey Jim, your thoughts on Tapestry and Disney to 140. Let's look at Disney first. Disney, the way I was looking at Disney, and of course this is a Dow stock, is that I was looking at it as a potential short. Now I know that sounds scary to everybody, but we may be in a situation where that might happen. But let's look at the daily chart first. Well, let's start with a weekly chart. That's the way to do it. I'm breaking my own rules. Start with that weekly chart first. See if we can find anything really to do here. Well, we definitely are right at this consolidation, this first stage of consolidation, and definitely at 153.43. So we're basically right at the pivot, literally right at the pivot. Now, is this the correct pivot? I'm not so sure this is. So let's look at the daily chart here to see. It has been pulling higher as of late. The question is, will it continue on this? Well, it seems to have broken through this little bit of resistance here. I still don't like buying it here. I would have rather have bought it, of course. Everybody would have rather bought it at the double bottom first stage at 131. So it is a little bit extended. So I'm a little bit leery. It's pulled nicely above it's pulled nicely above the 10-day line. Now, here's the thing. I don't really want to buy it here. I kind of want to wait to see if it pulls back to the 10-day line and bounces. If it does, then I might be interested in it. But I'm really, right now, I'm a little bit leery about it. It's only 5 out of 9 on the checklist. And also it, it does have increasing fund ownership, but just barely. So here was my thought on, here's my thought on it. I really believe with this one, you've got to be careful. And I just wouldn't buy it at this level. I think that, we haven't seen the other shoe drop here yet. I do think that, next year is going to be very tough for them. I mean, their business for their streaming business is going to do fantastic, but the business related to their their parks and their cruise ships and everything like that, I can't see that doing very well. So I'd be really super careful with Disney. I just don't think that it's unfortunately going to do as well. Let's look at Tapestry, see if we could get any more. See if I can give any love there. Tapestry is a symbol TPR. So let's look at Tapestry, and it basically does leather handbags, and for men and women actually. So if you're into the man purse thing, I guess it's a good thing. They got 1,500 stores worldwide. It's just kind of been going up. But let's look at the weekly chart. It seems to have changed its trend a little bit, but the trend on this has been a downward sloping trend. Yeah, sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't. But yet we have moved up. So, and we just had a pullback here. Until it gets above until it gets above this level here. Until it gets above about 29, I just can't really see it. Very nice relative strength. Definitely a watch list for this one. Let's look at the checklist. 7 out of 9, so that's pretty good. Let's look at the ownership. Well, it looks like it is backing off a little bit. That's not totally a killer. We do have some issues though, and that is related to the sales. We don't have increasing sales growth. And remember, in a growth stock, it's the sales growth that we're looking for. So this one doesn't quite have that. I would be a little bit leery on this one. I'd have to pass on Tapestry for right now, at least. I would have to pass on it. I might watch list it later, but I think there are better options out there right now than with Tapestry. So that's kind of my, that's kind of my take on it. So let's see if we can go over here to TikTok and get good questions. Any thoughts on CRM, on a CRM entry into CRM? Now, of course, CRM is, as everybody knows, is Salesforce. And of course, they just contracted to buy Slack, which is the symbol WORK. The question is, what's going to happen here? Well, I don't think there's a good entry on this one. I don't think the market's liking this. Just take a look at the weekly chart. We had a big sell-off. It's off $27.16 today at 220.47. So we're pulling back and we're below the 40-day line. I'm afraid we're headed towards that dreaded 200-day line. By the way, never try to buy a stock if it's moved below its 200-day line. It's not getting a bargain because it sometimes will not, change direction. So right now we have a gap down on this. They just had earnings. The earnings were stellar, but everything sold off. This is why also it is so difficult to hold through earnings. You just holding through earnings can sometimes be not a good thing. I mean, you think, gosh, this isn't fair. They're coming out with all these great earnings, and then there's the sell-off. What's going on? Well, it's the old adage buy on rumor, sell on news, and that's exactly what's happened here with Salesforce. It's just pulled back. It's a very good question, but this is just not going in the right direction. So save your money. It does have 6 out of 9 on the checklist, and we have some excellent funds in it, and it's increasing fund ownership. But I just think right now you got to be a bit careful. This is not a good entry point for Salesforce. The relative strength is 72, and it's got a downward slope on that. So I think you have to be super careful. I would not buy Salesforce at this time. I don't think there's a good entry, and I think that it's going to be sort of not a good deal. Not a good deal. All right, next great question. This is from Keon. Stepping out of net, should I buy it back? Well, you know what? I like net. I'm still in it. I'm still we're still in the small portfolio. So let me take a look to see if I can, if I can give you a good kind of view on that. So look at the way I'm trading. At least for right now, I'm trading the small portfolio position. So, by the way, the small portfolio position and watch lists are all available for free. All you have to do is go to www.Dallas Trading Floor and just sign up for it. It's totally free. So, there's absolutely no obligation, as they used to say at www.Dallas Trading Floor. Let's see. Now I have this in the small portfolio. I have a position, one full position in Cloudflare. Now I bought it some time ago. Well, not really some time ago, 17 days ago, as it was breaking out of a nice base at 64.70. Current price is 71.89. I'm just not going to sell this one right away. I've pushed my stop loss up. My stop loss is right now at 66.37. I'm probably going to move this stop loss up to about 2.5% below where it closes today, because it seems like Cloudflare just keeps on moving up. So that's sort of where I'm at now. I did move into another position here, another full position of AMD. Now I may live to regret that, because I bought it at 94.50, which is probably a little bit high. My first buy was 87. That was off a very nice base. Currently it's trading for 93. So that's kind of the makeup of the small portfolio. But I don't know if you should necessarily get back into .NET, into Cloudflare. The problem with Cloudflare is that it's really moved past a good buy point. So let's see if we can find a decent buying point for .NET. Here's what I think is going to happen on this stock. It's pulled back today 43 cents, basically to the 10-day line here. I do think based on its performance that we're likely to see it bounce at the 10-day line. We're likely to see that happen. Now, if it pulls below that, then we got to consider possibly not, getting out. But I do think that the only real place this is buyable really is going to be about the 10-day line. So you actually can buy it here. It's a little bit risky because of this of this little indicator here that I have. As you can see, this blue line, this is the relative strength line, is pointed downward. So that means that right now Cloudflare is losing strength against the S&P 500. So not in the optimal place to buy it. Always try to buy on upticks as it's moving higher. It's just a lot safer. So can you get back in? Well, I have to say you would have to wait on this one, probably until you have a pullback or a base. So right now, I just don't recommend it. Getting in. But we do have, let's look at the checklist. Boy, it's great. 8 out of 9. So it's just still stellar. The ownership is good too. We've got 398 funds in it. They're going up, and it does have some very good funds in here. Fidelity Contra Fund, of course, being one of the ones that's in there. So I don't really have a good buy point for you. The last buy point really was about 45.28, and then the last time that was really buyable was it about the $61 level when it bounced off of the 10-day average. So not necessarily an easy time to get back into .NET. So definitely want to keep it on your list, because I do think it can base and then give you an opportunity. All right. Is it Reminderful 100? Hi, Jim. Your take on DraftKings. This is a stock I really like. I'm trying to find a good entry point into DraftKings, and it's pulled up today, and it definitely has changed its character. So let's look at the weekly chart. This is something I'm really liking on this. Now, right now, it's a little bit below where you could buy this. This is the weekly chart that I'm looking at. There's a cup, and there is a buy point on a fourth stage cup. So this really isn't the best at 64.19. Now currently it's at 51.10, so it's well below that. So the question is, where can you buy this? Well, I do think that it is potentially buyable at this level, right basically below that. So at about, I think if it pulls up a little bit more to about the $57 level, that's kind of what I'm looking at, then I think it might be buyable. It's got a very nice trend line, and it's continuing. The trend on this is continuing up. So if we were to buy it, this would be a good, we want to always buy an uptrend, and it definitely is in an uptrend. So let's look at the daily chart to see if there's just anywhere we can get into this thing. This is going to be tough because there isn't really a great buy point. The last decent buy point was 44.79. Currently it's 51. So and it's pulled up above this line. So you could very aggressively, if you were aggressive, you could buy it at this level, but it would be aggressive. So what I would do with this one is I would wait to see if we get a little bit of a pullback, which may or may not happen because it's up to 32 cents today. But what I would do is I would put in a trial order at about 49 on this one. And because I do think you're buying with a trend. I do think it's, it's upward. I think it's looking very, very good. The checklist is still good. 6 out of 9. That's good enough for me. That's my minimum though. But all of these great funds are in it. So I'm really liking DraftKings, but right at this moment, if it just pulled back a tad, and it may not because of the way this is going, but I would try to put it in order maybe at about the $47 level to see if I could pick up some. I wouldn't be aggressive with this one though. I wouldn't be aggressive at all into this one. So, but thank you very much for that comment, because DraftKings should be on the list. I have to make sure that DraftKings is on the watch list, because I think it's a great stock, and it has so much potential. So let's take a look to see if on TikTok. Thanks everybody for watching me on TikTok. By the way, if you want to see all of the all of the charts and everything, super easy. Just jump on over to YouTube. I'm broadcasting live now, and that's easy to get to. It's just www.youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor, and then you can get definitely good on that. Okay, let's see. Let's look at this one. They're coming in fast and furious. Thanks. General thoughts on hydrogen stocks, Plug, Fuel Cell, FCEL, Nikola, etc. You know what? I am not a fan of hydrogen, because I know that's been touted. I mean, literally since I was in high school, hydrogen cars have been touted. But I don't know if you know this, but the way that they make hydrogen isn't from electrolysis like you do in your chem lab. It's actually made from natural gas. So I am not a huge fan necessarily of hydrogen power. Now, natural gas power I am, but not hydrogen power. So I really can't say anything. That said, Plug has been just, it's been doing great. Let's take a look at the chart to see if there's any entry points that we can see on Plug Power. Well, unfortunately, it looks as if it has changed its character, and then whenever that happens, that's a problem. It's pulled below the 21-day line. This is sort of a dangerous situation, and it could pull much lower. This happens, when you start to see these cells. It's pulled through that 21-day. It did not bounce. It doesn't look like it bounced. So it may be this one may be heading lower. This could potentially pull all the way back down to about 1435. So you know what? This is the only one that I like in that group, and I don't really like it all this much, because even though it does have a relative strength of 99, the checklist is okay. and there is some fund ownership, but I just think it's dangerous based on this trend right now. Now, if there's a reversal on this, I might be willing to go in it, but right now, as a new position, I don't think you want to be in it. I don't think you want to be in it. Thank you, Nero. Patel, is Palantir a buy? Well, I certainly thought so, but I have been wrong on a lot of things. I think it is. I do think it is correcting, though, and we have to be careful with it. PLTR, of course, is the symbol for Palantir, and again, it's pulling back today. It's down $3. I sold basically all of my positions in the small portfolio, so I'm pretty much out. With the exception, I do have one position, 100 shares, small position, that's covered with it's covered with a call option. But even that, I'm actually, I'm actually going to see if indeed I bought back the call option. Now, if you want to hedge a stock that you're kind of this volatile, what a lot of times I'll do is I'll buy 100 shares of it, then I'll sell a call, typically 4 weeks or 5 weeks out, and then I will do it like that. I'll take the premium. Now, I also then simultaneously put in an order to buy back the call at 20% of what I received for the premium on it. And the reason I do this is because if you make a wrong mistake and it does pull back and it pulls lower than that, you can sometimes pick up the calls for very little and then resell them when the stock reverses. So that's kind of a strategy. But today it's just looking bad. It's just pulled back. Even on the weekly chart, it just looks like, it just isn't time to buy it until it starts moving back up. It does seem to have some, it pulled up so far, so quickly that, this is really I think a correction. It does seem to have some support right about this little hiccup here at about 22. Right now it's at 22.47. Now the question is, will it pull below that tomorrow? We don't know. Big possibility that it could. I think that the next stop if that is happening, is going to be about 15. So it looks like this is a blow off top. It's going to change direction a little. It still is. We're still in an uptrend, but if it pulls below that tomorrow, I think then we're going to have a change in direction. So right now, not a good time to buy it. It's just one of those things. It's pulled back, and even though I'm holding it, would not recommend buying it right now. Okay, a brother versus brother. What do you see as the future of PayPal stock? Well, here I was. I bought PayPal, and then it immediately changed direction on me and pulled back. What's happening here? Well, I do think long-term PayPal is really good. And the reason I do, for not only for technical reasons, but because of the fact that they are buying up the world's Bitcoin supply, it seems like. There is a short-term there's a short-term resistance right here at about 215. It's about 212. Pulled back a little bit today. It pulled above it. I thought it had pulled above that resistance, but it seems to be pulling back. So we'll see how it trades. It trades tomorrow. Still relatively good relative strength at 90, but we did have some selling today. So definitely not as good as I thought it was going to be. Let's look at the weekly on that. But we're still really we're coming off this very nice cup formation. And the pivot on this is 212.45. So we're basically right at the pivot right now. So, if this thing pulls up a little bit more, I think that we could be right at it. As you can see, it on the weekly chart, it is we're up $1.17 week over week. Obviously, on the daily chart, we're pulling back. So that's one of the reasons why I want to look at the weekly chart. So I do think that we're right at the pivot, and I do think that we could see a movement through this. So I am still relatively bullish on PayPal. I may be changing my opinion depending on how it trades this week, but I'm still in the stock, and it's just right at a pivot. And this can be a very, very good time to buy it. Snap. When is it going to pop? Boy, I wish I knew the answer to that question. SNAP. This one has just been kind of getting ready forever. It seems like Snapchat. That's what it used to be called. It seems like it's been getting ready. It's up $1 It's up a little bit today. That's basically on the weekly chart. Let's look at the daily to kind of get the actual, information there. Yeah, it's up today. Wow, it's up $2.98. So it's definitely up. But it seems like it's hitting a little bit of resistance right here at 45. The question is, do we have the beginnings of a flag pattern? I don't think we do, but we have a variant. But the relative strength line is looking good, so this might be a buy actually. 98. Let's just kind of do the smell test on it. It's really good. 8 out of 9. I'm liking that. The ownership in it is good. Boy, this is getting ready to pop. You're absolutely right when you say that. You're absolutely right. The question is where to buy it. Wow, how would I buy this one? I think you could buy it actually, if there's a pullback to about 45.60. Let's see how it trades tomorrow. But if there's a pullback to about 45.60, I think you could go in with a nice position on this one, even though it's a little bit extended from the first stage cup, which is a pivot of 26.76. So I definitely think it is far extended, but it looks like it's forming sort of a basing pattern, a potential flag pattern, not a really a good flag, but it looks like it may be just getting ready to break out. So, boy, if this thing went over 50, I would buy it. I definitely would. Thanks, Marcin. That's a good question. But it does look like it's getting ready to pop, and that's a very very good point that you made. Let's see if we can find another question. I'm looking on TikTok. Is NIO good to buy? Well, all the Chinese EV stocks have been kind of hit. As you probably have read or heard, the Chinese government is cracking down on many of these electric vehicle manufacturing companies. They got free land to build their factories, but it looks like there's some accounting regulators. And of course, the problem with Chinese stocks is that they don't use generally accepted accounting principles. They use a modified version, so you really cannot trust their books. A lot of people got burned on Luckin Coffee last summer because of this. They said that they had thousands more locations than they actually did. This is pulled up nicely again today, but I am a little bit leery on this. I just want to see it. This stock trades in sympathy with Tesla. I think probably what you want to do, potentially, and that's pulled up a lot today. This still just doesn't have this has all, this has a lot of good characteristics, but it did pull back. Let's look at the weekly chart to kind of see. Yeah, we don't necessarily have a change in direction because it looks like it pulled back to the 40-day line, but it looks like it might be getting ready to change direction. If it falls through that 40, if it falls lower than about 38.64, then I believe you could see a change of direction. Currently, it doesn't have a change of direction, but the upward motion on this is getting weak. So I would be very careful in here. Checklist is still good at 7 out of 9, and we do have increasing fund ownership. And this is actually covered by some of the larger funds like I think Bear Stearns. No, not Bear Stearns. I can't remember which of the houses wrote a favorable on this. This is sort of the Tesla of China, they say. But really, I think the one you want to be looking at for potential entry, and of course, entry is Tesla. Now, Tesla's pulled back a lot today. It's still seeming to, trying to find its sea legs again. We might have another opportunity on Tesla. I'm going to look at the daily chart to kind of look at the entry point. Basically on the trade alerts, I basically sold my positions out at 570, a little bit lower than that. It's 568 right now with a downward trend. But if you look at the candlestick, it's right at the top of that. The question is it going to reverse and go higher, or is it going to continue downward? I think the way I'm looking at this one is I definitely think that we have, at least in the short term, a downward trend on this. Now, what's going to happen? Well, I mean, obviously, who knows? But what I do believe is it's going to pull back down to the pivot, and then it will bounce there, and then it'll make another attempt at the $600 level. Now, it's stuck currently Tesla is stuck between about in this trading range between about 600 on the top. That's the ceiling, and the floor is about at 502 or about 500. So currently, the trend is down. Now, if this reverses, and it looks like it might, because even though it is a downward trend today, there was a significant amount that, it's currently the trend is down because we have the two largest volume bars down. But if this changes, if it bounces off the 10-day line or the 21-day, the 21-day line, which is right now at about 500, then I think we could be seeing a new uptrend. So instead of investing in NEO, I think that, buy fewer shares of Tesla as it's moving higher. Shadish, thank you for that question on Tesla. Basically, hold or sell. Well, if you're down more than 7%, sell it. But the thing is, we may be getting ready for a time when it can be bought again. I do think it's going to pull back to about the $500 level, and then it possibly could change to the upward. And I do think that that's, based on the chart, I think that's very highly likely. Currently, though, we don't want to be adding to our positions in Tesla because it isn't moving on a downward trend. Now, if you're already in the stock, set your stop losses very tight, 2.5%. You may get pulled out of it, but that's going to protect any gain that you have. So be careful on that. But I don't think it's ready to buy yet. But I think it should be on your watch list, because when it moves, when it reverses, it's likely to reverse up. And if it moves through 600, then we're in a new confirmed uptrend for it. So there's going to be an opportunity on. Don't give up necessarily on Tesla, but I do think that it's moving a little bit slower than it did this summer. Thoughts on PLCE? So let's look at PLCE. And take a look at that. Children's Place. I don't like this trend. I have to admit, Kay, I'm sorry about this. When I see charts like this, this is the first thing I do. You go to that weekly chart here. You go to that weekly chart, and then you look at it and you see, well, what is the overall trend for this? And unfortunately, at least with this one right now, the overall trend is downward, as you can see. Well, there we go. Okay. So we still have a downward trend on this. When we have a downward trend on this, that is not a bullish thing. Also, now, one good thing did happen. It pulled above this 200-day moving average. So that's good. We never want to buy below this. So we don't want to ever buy down here, ever. This is a very important line. This black line here is the 200-day moving average. We want something that is above the 200-day average always. Now, it's moved above the 200-day average, but is it good enough to buy yet? No, not really. I want to see this thing pull up to at least I want to see this thing pull to at least even, and that would be a price of about 65. So I can't buy this one right now. It's just not good enough for me. Also, we have decreasing sales. This is sort of not a good thing for a growth stock, because growth stocks, we're looking for future earnings, and that's why sales growth is so rewarded in growth stocks. Let's look at the checklist. This checklist is not good enough. It's only 5 out of 9. It's just not good enough. I want to see at least 6 out of 9 on that checklist before I'll consider it. It also has decreasing fund ownership. So here's what I would say with this Children's Place, or symbol PLCE. I would just say avoid this one right now. Not a good one for you. Let's see. A question from Ali. Will you buy NEO? Well, as I said earlier, I'm probably not going to buy NEO, at least right now, because I am a little bit concerned with this weekly chart. This weekly chart is showing a trend. It's easier to see the trends on the weekly chart because the daily charts you have a fair amount of noise, but it looks as if, based on this weekly chart, we have changed character, and it looks as if we are now trending downward. Okay, now on the daily chart, a downward arrow wouldn't be an issue, but on the weekly chart it is, because that shows a downward trend over a week's period of time. So that shows a change in character. Now, can it reverse on the on the 40-day line? Absolutely it can. But right now, I don't want to buy it because it is trending in the wrong direction. It is trending in the wrong direction. So my short answer that I've made long is no, I would not buy NEO at this time. Just not good enough, unfortunately. All right. So thoughts on IBN? Let's look at IBN to see what we've got. IBN. Let's see if we've got something good there. Interesting. Okay, this is a private sector Indian bank, but it's listed on the New York Stock Exchange through ADRs. By the way, for everyone out there, what an ADR is that foreign stocks can absolutely be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. The way that they do it is with these things called ADRs, or American Depository Receipts. And the thing about these ADRs is that they basically they're just like shares, but they're non-voting. But they trade just like the shares would be on the Mumbai exchange, except it's in dollars. So this is a great way to buy a stock. Now, do I like banks? Overall, I don't like banks, but India is going to have tremendous growth in the next 5 to 20 years. It's probably going to be off the chain. And banks in India can charge interest rates that are much higher than in places like the U.S. So I think there's some good opportunities in the financial sectors in India. Now let's look at the checklist. It's got a 6 out of 9. I'm liking that. I also like the fact that it's got increasing fund ownership. And it looks as if it is, it's potentially buyable. It's not buyable right at this moment because I want to see it make a new higher high. But this is very interesting. I think if we can see this, it's up 28 cents today. That's US, if we can see this thing move over about 1525 or 1530, I think we might have a good one here, because I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing here. Sales are up. They're not up a lot, but they're up. We have good phone ownership. It did decrease a little bit, went from 448 to 437, but we do have 9% fund ownership. Now, typically, when a stock has its biggest move is when the funds are about 20% up to about 65%. It's currently 9% in the funds, but that's still acceptable. Now, would I go all out on this one? Probably not, but I do think that the financial sector in India is going to see tremendous growth in the next few years because a lot of unbanked people, a lot of people that kept their money under the mattress, are going to be customers, and there's going to be loans going on. So I think it's a very good watch list. This is a good watch list stock, and I'm actually going to put it on my list, IBN, because I don't have a lot of exposure to India, but I do like the Indian markets. I do think that we may even see a shift, depending on things, from some of the Chinese equities to the Indian equities, because I think over the next 10 years they may actually have much better growth in that market. So tremendous. Can you look at Blink and work? Let's look at Blink first. This is Blink Charging, and it's an interesting stock because they have charging stations. It's off a little bit today. Well, it's off a lot today. Not a little. It's off $5 today. But no, I'm sorry. That's on the weekly chart. Let's look at the daily chart. Oh, I got it mixed up there. Okay, yeah, it's pulled up nicely. Look at that, 99. Okay, so it's pulled back up to 23, up 84 cents. Okay, so it had a hiccup. But I still like this stock. I really do. It got a little bit over exuberant. This is a lot of times what will happen when a stock moves too high too quickly. It just can't defy gravity forever. It just has to stall out and then come back to earth. But it got some very, very nice support at the 21-day line. So I'm liking the stock, actually, believe it or not. And I do think that it may be headed higher. Would I buy it at this level? I would wait until we saw a reversal. Currently, we have a downward trend, but that's on the daily chart. On the weekly chart, we have a downward trend. Let's see if this thing reverses, higher. And I do think there's a chance of it. It seems as if it got a little bit ahead of itself. Sort of this was the level of about 14, kind of where it sort of went to new higher highs. So it's trying to find, there's some price discovery going on there. So it is still, it's still an upward trend, and that's a good thing. It's definitely an upward trend. So if I had this thing, I would hold on to it. On this one, it's a little bit more speculative because it's such a cheap stock. You've got to kind of be a little bit more loose on the stop losses. I covered this one. I covered this stock this summer. I basically had it on this summer, and when it was below 10. So it's definitely it definitely could move higher. So I really kind of like this one, actually. Blink Charging. Let's see if I can give you something on Slack. Now, of course, as we know, Slack, or WORK, that's their symbol. There was an offer from there on Slack. There was an offer from CRM, which is a Salesforce. It has just pulled above its buy point. Its buy point on a first stage consolidation is $40.07. It's currently at 42. The question is, I don't know enough about the offer. I didn't read up on the offer, but I don't know exactly where that is at. But I think that, it could be good. There are some troubling. Well, they're not really. 89 is good. I like to see 80 or better, so it's definitely got that. Let's look at the checklist. 8 out of 9. That's excellent. Yeah, I think this is a go. I think this is a go. The question is, I don't know exactly what the price of the of the deal was with Salesforce. So that is my question on that. That would be it on that. But I think you could definitely safely safely buy it. And you might do quite well on that. Have a question on Palantir. Another question on Palantir. What's the buy point on it? Well, let's take a look. And of course, I'm in Palantir. I was shaken out of several hundred of my shares. But I still am in it. I'm still have about 100. Not a lot, but it's off $3 today, so it's off significantly. The question is, where is it buyable? I think it's buyable right at about this little this little area here, which is right below 20. I think you could buy it at 18. Now, I don't think you could safely buy it at 18, but I think that's a potential buy point off of the 21-day exponential average, which is currently at about 19. So that's where I think you might be able to pick it up. But I think I want to see it reverse a little bit before I would do that, just because I think it's a little bit difficult. Let's see if I have a question from TikTok. Thanks for holding, everybody. Thoughts on Bank of America? Looking good. Well, let's look at Bank of America. This hasn't been, I have to be honest with you, I am not a big fan of American financials right now. We still have a downward trend. It is moved up, though. So let's take a look at that chart. Let's first look at the weekly chart to see, what the overall trend is. Well, the overall trend, it just definitely seems like it's made a bottom, and it seems like it is moving higher, and it has moved above the 200-day moving average. So that's good. But the buy point on this one, unfortunately, is way back here, and it's really at 35. It's at 29 now. So it really, before I would buy this thing, I don't really believe it's that safe to buy this until it pulls above these levels. I would buy it if I would buy Bank of America if it went over 35, but other than that, I wouldn't. We have decreasing sales. I don't like seeing this. I do think that money center banks next year are going to be in a lot of trouble, because a lot of people were laid off, and a lot of a lot of the tourist industries and the restaurant and leisure industries, they've all been devastated. So there just isn't going to be the loan volume, I don't think, that there's been. So I think be careful with Bank of America. I know that everybody's heard of it. It's a sound bank. I just don't think it's a very good stock. And I just want to be, be upfront about that. I don't think that that Bank of America is a very good stock, and I think that you really have to be careful if you buy it. I think you could, if you invested in it, you might not, it might be dead money for 10 years. I mean, until it moves past 35, I'm just not interested in that. Now there is another bank that I do think is interesting. It is domestic. I think it's CVB. It's Silicon Valley Bank. I think that's the symbol. CVB. Yeah, did I get that right? CVB. See, I think that's it. When I was in Silicon Valley, this is actually based in Santa Clara. This was started by basically AMD, and they lend money to people that are in the software and many of the tech industry. It's done very, very well. Unfortunately, I don't remember what the symbol is for it. Let me see if I can get that. I'm just looking up the symbol right now for Silicon Valley Bank. SVB. I think that's it. I think that's the symbol for it. SVB. Let's see if that comes up. Nope, symbol not recognized. Okay. Well, did I get that? Let's see. SVIB, I guess, is SVIB. Yeah. What is the symbol on that? SVIB. So let me take a look at the chart on SVIB. SVIB. This is one potential stock that might work. Well, that doesn't, unfortunately, that doesn't work anyways. So I'm sorry about that. But Silicon Valley Bank, you might want to take a look into that one as well. All right, so let's take a look at, Goldman Sachs, GS. And of course, everybody has heard of Goldman Sachs. It's one of the, one of the original, no, I'm sorry. It's GB. GS is the symbol for Goldman Sachs. GS. Now, I heard somebody say that, they should be doing better than they are, but, they're doing pretty darn good. It's up $2.25 today. This is one of the few financials I like. And, let's take a look at it. We've moved past a buy point, so that's interesting. We're on a consolidation base at 225.24. It's at 237. Let's look at the daily chart, see if there's any entry point there. Yeah, there definitely is. It's pulled right above the buy zone. I think that you could safely buy this probably. Well, it's just tad extended. I don't like to buy them extended like this, but wait for this thing to pull back to about 534. If it pulls, I would set a limit order if you're interested in the stock. I'd set a limit order at about 534 because it is a cup and handle formation and it looks like it's just making its move. So this is actually, based on this is actually very good. The checklist is 7 out of 9, so that's great. The ownership is very good in the funds. It's increasing, so that's good. Let's see if I can see anything else that is a red flag here. Well, we did have a little bit of a disappointment in terms of the sales. They were down 1%, but that's not a lot. The earnings per share look okay, but the earnings per share were up. So that's very good. It looks like it's just come through earnings relatively recently, and there's buying. So you know what? This is definitely in the buy zone. Absolutely it is. It's a little bit high. I'd like to buy it a little bit lower than this, but definitely a green light on GS. Definitely a green light on this, Katrina. Thank you for that. That's a good one. I'm going to put GS on the watch list because I don't have hardly any exposure to financials, and we may be coming into a good time for stocks like that. Let's look at CRSR. CRSR. And that's Corsair Gaming. I should know this one because I was looking at this one this morning. Corsair has had this incredible run up. Now it's pulled back today, $4.17. The question is, where can you buy this thing, and can you buy this on the rebound? Well, if you're in the stock and you use kind of my technique of, as it moves up, pushing that stop loss up and keeping it within 2.5% of the close, then you probably would have been sold out of the stock. But the question is, where are we now? Now, right now, we don't want to buy this because there's a sold outage, and you don't want to catch a falling knife. And right now, we have a falling knife. But that doesn't mean that it can't hit the floor, and of course, then change direction. Right now, the trend isn't what we want to see, as you can see by this blue line here. This is the stock against the S&P 500. So it's downward facing. We've had a lot of selling going on here. So it's just not time for this one yet. Let's see if we get some support on this one. I think that it may fall all the way back to the 2250 level, but you can't tell on this. It seems to be that there's some kind of floor right about here, right below 25, maybe 24, and then of course at the pivot, which is at 2250. So right now, I think you got to be careful with this one. But it does have a very interesting checklist, 7 out of 9. That's good. And it does have, and it went right out of the box with 55 funds in it. So that's looking very good too. I think that Corsair is a watch list. It's not a buy. CSSR. Just FYI, there may be an opportunity on CrowdStrike, and I'm going to take a look at that chart right as we speak. CRW, I think it's CRWD, I believe, is CrowdStrike. Yeah, no, that's CrowdStrike. Okay, this is CrowdStrike. We're going through earnings today, and you don't want to buy it, obviously, to earnings. There's a very big good potential. It pulled back relatively significantly, $5. This may either continue down like this, or we might see it move up. If this thing bounces off of the 40-day line, I think we might have something that you could buy. But I'm doing the chart work right now to see if it's there. 8 out of 9, so it's excellent checklist. Now, you don't want to buy this today, but potentially tomorrow or possibly on Friday, this might be a good one if it changes direction. Currently, it's not there yet, but you have this nice cup base pattern, and we may have the beginning of a handle. Buying on a handle can be very, very good because when they reverse, they typically will rocket up if there's enough volume. So CrowdStrike, you might want to put that on your watch list. Symbol CRWD on that. Okay, so let's see. Grayscale Erythium, ETHE, pronounced 9 for 1. Okay, that's kind of a cool one. I guess they're getting in on the same thing that the Bitcoin Trust did. Let's look at that. ETHE, and of course this is an ETF, so it's easy to get in and out of. Doesn't appear to be on. It sees it on the pinks right now. I'm not picking it up, ETHE, so I'm going to have to get back to you on the volume. But I'm interested in that because, other than Bitcoin, that probably is the best of the cryptos. Appreciate it. All right, so let's see. Buy point on Tesla. Okay, I have a question. I have a position in AMD. Should I increase it? Well, you know what? I did. I increased mine this morning. I increased my AMD position. Now, AMD is a heartbreaker. I have to be honest with you. I've been heartbreaking from AMD many a time, but I do think that with this new gaming chip and the strength of the chart, I think we're going up. This is the weekly chart that I'm showing you right now. I want to show you this beautiful trend. The trend is your friend, right? And the trend on AMD is definitely up. So I'm liking AMD. I think that we just went through a buy point, and we just had an opportunity on it. Let's look at the daily chart, but I still think we might still be in there. Really, we're right above the buy range, but we have a buy point of 86.72 on up to the top of the pivot at about 93. It's 93.74. Now you can buy it right now. But you're going to be. You remember, you're buying at the top of the. You're buying at the top of the. Of the buy range, but that still could be very good. I think that this could easily be, $120, $130 stock in several months. And as you can see on the small portfolio, I just want to kind of bring that to your attention. I did increase. I did a buy this morning at 94.50. Now I'm down about $6 on this, but I'm not too worried because my other position, my pilot position at 87, that did very well, and it's moved up 7%. So I think that in 8 days. So I'm looking. So I do think that we might have a situation. Don't pile into it, but I think you possibly could increase your position at this point. It may get a little bit too. If it goes up any more than this, though, it's going to be hard to buy this without buying it too far extended. So I have come to an hour. Hour of time, and there's many good questions here that I didn't get to, and I apologize for this. I'm trying to get to as much as I can to all the questions, but if you want to send me questions offline, it's super duper easy to do. All you have to do is go to www.Dallas Trading Floor, and and just there's a place to ask a question, and I try to get to these as quickly as I can. Now, if you can really help me out here by subscribing to my YouTube channel, and that's basically at youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor, and I would really appreciate it, of course. So hit that like button and subscribe. There you go. Oh, there we go. Subscribe to that on the YouTube channel. Also, if you're interested in the action trade alerts, and these are definitely good. They're all free, by the way. I will send you out an extra. I sent out one today on Apple, and hopefully I'm going to get some more of them out there as well. So just easy to subscribe. Just www.Dallas Trading Floor. Well, I'll be back tomorrow at 2:30. Thanks everybody for taking a look, and tell your friends if you like what you see. Really appreciate it. And of course, I do have a podcast. It's available on Spotify and on on Google Podcasts. And so you can, if you have an Apple iPhone, it's super easy to get. Just hit the Dallas Trading Floor, and you'll get it right away. So till tomorrow at 2:30 Central. Happy trading.